Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where we appreciate the form in Transformers. Today I'm going to be taking a look at a duo, yes that was intentional, that I've been meaning to look at for probably over a month at this point. I don't remember the exact times, but it's been a while. I've had these two in my possession and wanted to talk about them, but other stuff was coming along and so on. But yeah, getting right to it. Going to be looking at Power of the Primes, Roadtrap, and Battle Slash, and their mini Gestalt Battletrap. Now what's interesting is I actually kind of have an indirect history with these two. Not exactly, but kind of. I never had any of the Duocons when I was growing up. I did have a friend who owned one of the sets of Duocons, but it was not Battletrap, it was the other one. So no actual association with these two specifically, or Battletrap, but the whole Duocon thing I do actually remember, and it was a pretty fun gimmick at the time. Anyway, just gonna dive right in here. So, Roadtrap is a truck, van, jeep thing, and looks pretty good. It's kind of like, from here up, definitely looks like truck. From here back, it's kind of a little wishy-washy, especially if you look at him from the back. But given everything that he does and the fact that he's fairly tiny, I'm not that broken up about it. And just from like a default angle like this, you get a pretty good idea of what he's about, and he does look pretty good. It's a nice shade of blue here. It's a little bit lighter. Not powder blue light, but it's, you know, a nice light blue, which of course complements the yellow very nicely, or the yellow complements the blue, take your pick. And they got a little bit of nice silver on the front for the grille there. And the hot pink windows, it's weird, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it because the hot pink, strange as it may be, actually does sort of work with the light blue in a weird, intentionally clashy sort of way. And also I just appreciate the fact that they actually painted all the windows, because that's such a rarity these days. I mean, it is a shame that the hubcaps were not painted, but, you know, tiny figure, Hasbro, economy, budgets, blah, blah, blah. Not a bad looking truck, unless you look at it like this, and then suddenly it's like obviously a robot that's just kind of folded up. The underside's actually less obviously robot than the top, but still, ultimately, it looks alright. And Battle Slash is this weird, yawning helicopter that's got like a Megalon face, which it's, you know, it's a little weird, but at the same time, again, given what the figure does, I'm not that broken up about it. This is where it connects for the combined mode, so yeah. I mean, it would be nice if there was some way for these to like fold in or something to close that gap up, but it's okay. And he is a very, very slight grayish white. Not a bad color, but bright white may have been nicer. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is G1 color reference and how much of it is just this is what they went with, but it's fine. And, you know, black bits stand out nicely, although black bits here, they're just kind of mushy and they get in the way of the shape of the helicopter. But then again, the shape isn't that great. Like, it reads as a helicopter, but it's definitely got some problems. Like, the tail is too thick. It's kind of weird around here. But they do hit some very specific notes that actually do have attack helicopter connotations to them, which, again, given what this thing does and how it transforms, it's actually kind of impressive. Like the fact that these bits back here that are actually the robot mode elbows are designed to look like exhausts from like the engines that'll sometimes be on the sides of helicopters, like right under the rotors, which, I mean, it's a simple detail, but it actually works pretty darn well. And the molded rotor in the back, whatever this is called, the sideways thingy, also looks pretty darn good. I mean, for what it is. The cockpit section also looks really nice. I like how they got that nice light blue in there. It definitely pops against the not quite white. Now, the Decepticon logo is a little bit muddy. I kind of feel like they either didn't need the black in there or maybe done like white contour lines instead of black. Because as it is, especially the size that it is, it's easier to make out the shape of the logo rather than the actual fine details. Like, it shows up okay on camera, but it's just, they could have bumped up the color contrast for the logo there so it stands out a little bit better. But still, looks alright. Like, there's not a whole lot of color on either of these guys, but there is color in enough spots that it can kind of help to break things up, like the little bits of red here, little bits of blue that's ever so slightly purple. Looks good. One thing I do want to address with Battle Slash is I know some people have had issues with the rotors banging into stuff when spinning, and that kind of gets in the way of things. If you'll notice, yeah. I don't know if that's just because I have a later release, like not a first wave figure, or if it's like a transformation thing, but one thing that I've noticed is it's really easy when you're pushing these bits down for the helicopter mode. If you go to push them flush, that leads to problems. So what you want to do is once you get all this pushed in, you kind of pull up slightly, like pull this section in the middle here up, like hanging onto the rotor, just tug up a little bit, and that should give you the space that you need. Like, it still kind of leans forward a bit. That's just an unfortunate part of the design, but by yanking it up like that, it does give it enough clearance that the blades will spin without any hindrance. Something to keep in mind. Now let's get these fellows in the back here for our size comparisons. Bringing in a Titans Return Deluxe, you can see that they are indeed smaller figures. It's like they are Legends size, but Battle Slash, due to the length, seems just a little bit bigger. Alright, so I think that's about all there is to say about the vehicle modes. I'm just going to speed right along here because we do have 3 modes to get through. Let's move on to those robot modes. And here we have Roadtrap and Battle Slash in their individual robot modes, which, as I understand it, is a new development specifically for Power of the Primes. This is not something that the Duocons could originally do. And I think for a couple of robot modes for Legends figures that were just kind of come up with on the fly, based around 30-year-old toy designs that never actually had robot modes, these actually work pretty darn well. I mean, I am in the same camp as virtually everyone else in that I think Roadtrap works a bit better as an individual robot than Battle Slash, but they're both not bad. Roadtrap has the better proportions of the two with the big clunky feet, but then he also has the big torso and beefy-ish arms to go with it, whereas Battle Slash is just, he's got enormous legs and not like long legs, they just, yeah. But while the silhouette for Roadtrap does work better for me, I think there is still something to be said for Battle Slash's robot mode. The colors are pretty nice for one thing. The blue feet seem a little out of place, but the off-white for the rest of the body with like the little dark purple highlights like you can see in the chest there and on the arms there, those do help quite a bit. And the black works a lot better in robot mode here because there's not a lot of it, but it's in enough places to kind of break up the monotony of that off-white color. And the Decepticon logo works much better here than in vehicle mode. Weirdly, it's got like, I think that's supposed, like, I think it's just lines, but it looks like it's almost supposed to be words or something there. I don't really know what the deal is with that. And I don't necessarily think these are meant to be part of the logo, but at the same time, having these black lines on the tops and bottoms above the logo do help to add a little bit more visual interest to the chest. And then also we've got the head, which isn't bad. Like, it's kind of a generic Transformer head, not a whole lot going on there, but the silver for the face does stand out pretty nicely, as does the red for the eyes. He's not bad looking. I think painting his helmet a slightly different color or making it a slightly different color plastic might have also helped to just kind of break up the monotony a bit more, but it it's fine. Plus, no one's going to get him for this mode anyway. Really, my main issue with Battle Slash is just the legs, and I feel like if these were just in a little bit more or a little bit narrower or both, then it would be fine. And now moving on to Road Trap. Again, he's like a little stumpy, beefy bot, but he works well. I do think it's cool how the windows for the truck mode kind of fold in an accordion on top of the hood to kind of make more boot-looking shapes there. Got some decent molded details in there with like a little bit of almost like a knee pad looking thing. The chest also works pretty well, and he's also got some like line work around that Decepticon logo that just adds a little bit more visual interest to the chest, so he and Battle Slash have that in common. And that yellow really pops against the blue. I do like that. I even gave him a little bit of black there to... It almost looks like a belt in this mode. And then he does have a little bit of silver around the collar and little touches of red on the shoulders, which just helped to add more visual interest color-wise to his robot mode. And they also painted the fists, so yay for that. That does work pretty well. His face is a little bit less generic Decepticon. I mean, he still looks grumpy, still very much looks like a Decepticon, but doesn't look bad. I like Road Trap's head more than Battle Slash's head, both because it's a little bit bigger and it's got a nicer shape to it, and just having the big red visor instead of tiny eyes, that red just stands out a lot better than the eyes for Battle Slash, but still, it's nice color on either one. You can't really go wrong with the silver and red combo. But looking at them side by side, it does seem like Road Trap got a bit more of the paint love, at least in the individual robot modes. But then again, when they combine, I think it'll even out a little bit better. And they don't look bad next to each other. But I think it's interesting how the two of them could almost stand apart. Like, there's a couple of things that kind of make them seem like they could work together. Like, color-wise, you've got black for both, and you've got a similar blue here to here. But just looking at them in their individual robot modes, they do look relatively distinct from one another, and that's pretty cool. I like that they're not wholly dependent on each other in order to make a team in their individual robot modes. Though, again, it does seem like Road Trap got the the paint budget love for the individual robot modes, but that's okay. Like I said, I think in the combined mode, it'll even out a little bit more. But before we get to that combined mode, we still have size comparisons to do, and just need to adjust this a little bit more. Okay. And yeah, putting them next to a Power of the Primes Deluxe, you can see they are definitely Legends size. They come up to Dreadwind's waist, or slightly above his waist. I guess his midriff or sternum, however you want to put it. So they're on the shorter side, but they're not bad little bots for being little bots, really. And again, considering all that they do, I think they're actually pretty darn good. I probably wouldn't be super jazzed about getting either of these guys individually if they didn't combine, but that's more of a personal thing. I don't think they necessarily look bad like this, so gotta give the designers credit for that. You know, they do work relatively well as individuals, even if they may not necessarily be to my taste. But now we've seen the vehicle modes, we've seen the individual robot modes, there's just one more thing left to do. So let's take Road Trap and Battle Slash, mash the two of them together, and make us a Battle Trap. I believe I've said something similar to this recently, but yes. I love Power of the Primes Battletrap. And again, this is coming from someone who has no nostalgia factor with this figure, no regard for Battletrap in general. I have like a passing familiarity with the Duocons from 30 years ago, but this is a really cool little dude. I mean, he's not super little anymore, but I really like this. It's such a neat idea, and I know it's based on a 30-year-old idea, but it's still a really neat idea, and I can't help but really cross my fingers. I hope that Hasbro does more of these, because, I mean, there's at least one other Duocon set that they could do. I don't believe they could remold Battletrap for that, but I would be absolutely down for another Power of the Primes Duocon set, because Battletrap is great. I mean, he's got his issues with, like, kibble and stuff like that, but I just can't argue, really, with with this finished robot mode. There's a lot that I really like here. Getting the problematic stuff out of the way first, the backs of his legs are just kind of... There are robot arms hanging off there, which you don't really notice from the front, but they are there. And his back stuff, like, there are a couple of different ways to deal with it. I prefer to do the... helicopter rotors going off to one side. I believe the official transformation has the arms just going, kind of meeting in the middle and going straight down. And that's fine, but I do think doing it like this works a little bit better because it kind of makes it look like the shoulders are a little bit broader. Not that they need to. It buffs up his silhouette around the shoulder area a little bit more, and I definitely am into that because, me and big shoulders. But I really like this combined robot mode. It is so solid. Design-wise, the bits around his shins they're not loose, but they're easy to knock out of place. But they're also easy to put back in place. But no, it's a really solid design here. Like, I love the distribution of the color here. How you've got the very, very predominantly blue legs that take up pretty much the entire lower half of the figure, and then you've got this off-white that takes up pretty much the entire top half, and absolutely calls to mind the classic Duocon design, which, like I said, I have no affiliation with, but still, it was... two vehicles that stack on top of each other and then become a robot, and this still kind of evokes that feeling. But it works so well here because you've got little elements that kind of tie everything together, like the blue for the fists and the face in the torso, or the battle slash half, if you want to call it that. The blue there, and then the red bits on what is now the chest here tie into the legs here because you've got a similar reddish pink down here on the feet, and the legs are in their entirety pretty much a similar blue. It just works so well, and it's a really nice set of colors too. The blue and the yellow go well together because they are fairly complementary, and like that pinkish red does clash a little bit, but it clashes in a way that works. And then you've got, the black that's kind of sprinkled throughout on both halves. And the off-white just works really well with that blue too, because it's white. White and black both pretty much go with everything. And yeah, there are some little quibbles with the shape of the robot mode where you've got these big bits hanging off the sides here. You've got the robot mode heels sticking off the fists, which, yeah, maybe it would have been better if they had some other thing you could do with these and use those for heels instead of needing to put these here, but it doesn't bother me. I'm too busy looking at all of this awesome to really nitpick on these little nubbins. But I am still a little bit bummed about that Decepticon logo on what is now the chest, because that is sort of the predominant Decepticon logo for this figure. Yeah, there's one down there, but that's the chest faction logo. That's the one that everyone's going to be looking at, and you really can only see the shape from a distance. I really wish they had done something to bump up that contrast. Again, I think just getting rid of the black contour lines entirely, so it's just that purple on the light blue, I think would have done the trick. Or doing white contour lines instead of black to really make that purple stand out would have been great, but it is what it is. Just gonna have to probably slap a repro label on there or something. And getting in closer for a look at the torso and head. The chest is just the helicopter cockpit mode, but it makes for a really cool chest. And the way that blue breaks up the chest a little bit, it really keeps this torso from being washed out and repetitive in the color department. But anyway, we're looking at the head, and the head it's cool. I don't necessarily think the shape of it is particularly standout. It looks neat, but there's nothing design-wise about it that really is yeah, that's a cool helmet or a cool face or whatever. But I do really like what they did with the colors here. There's just something about the darker blue against the lighter blue with that gray for the eyes. It's really appealing. And it also ties into the rest of the figure because you've got the light blue for the face, the light blue for the chest, and then you've got the dark blue for the head, or helmet rather, which, dark blue for the fists, dark blue for the legs. So it, again, ties everything together nicely. And I don't know why the two different shades of blue work so well together for me, but they totally do. And I am here for that color combination. I'm here for this whole robot, really. Again, it's a 30-year-old idea, but they pulled it off so well here. I don't necessarily want to say this is the best part of Power of the Primes, because I haven't gotten every single Power of the Primes figure, and I'm not going to, but Battletrap he's up there. Currently, I'd probably rank my favorite Power of the Primes figures as Volcanicus, Battletrap, Rodimus Unicronus, and then Optimus Prime. That's not to say I think Optimus Prime is bad, I just think he's the weakest of the four because the other three are so incredibly strong. Anyway, yes, size comparisons. I'm getting off track because I could gush about Battletrap all day. Here he is with a standard Power of the Primes Deluxe, and this is another thing that really impresses me about this figure, or figures. And it's the fact that you've got two Legends figures that each have a vehicle mode and an individual robot mode, and then combine to make a deluxe figure. And like, almost a spot-on size there. I know I'm supposed to be harping on the aesthetics more than anything else, but I just can't help but really admire the design that went into Battletrap. I think a lot of love went into this. But I think that is enough gushing about Battletrap, because like I said, I could totally go on, so I'm gonna stop for now. But yeah, he is a very, very good figure. But that's enough about what I think about Battletrap. What do you all think about Battletrap? Because I'm sure there are probably several people watching this at this point who have some kind of history with the original Battletrap. So I am curious to know how someone who actually has that nostalgia to pull from might perceive a sort of modern update of that set. And if you're like me and have no background with Battletrap, what do you think? Because, I mean, I think it's a really cool idea, and I think they pulled it off incredibly well. And like I said, I would love to see more like this. And for anyone who has Power of the Primes Battletrap, what do you like to do with the backpack area? I've seen people do this. I know the non-F upgrades also suggest doing this. And I know Thu likes to do the arms connected as like a rotor backpack, which also doesn't look bad. I just like having it kind of closer to the back so that he fits on a shelf a little bit better. But yeah, let me know. And whatever other thoughts you might have, also feel free to let me know about those. You can leave a comment down below if you so choose. I do enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like or subscribe. Any of those three things would make me a happy Rob. And remember, art is really cool, but also more than meets the eye.